This is an overview video in relation to this module which will deal with the issue of mandatory face mask wearing in several different jurisdictions. And I have prepared a bundle for each country or jurisdiction. There's one here for Ireland, and I'll go through these separately when I speak about what's happening in that country in regards to the legislation, how it relates to this overview, which I'm going to give now. So I have one there, Ireland, another one for the UK. There's one here for Canada, the USA, and Australia. All of these bundles here pertain to the legislation bringing about face mask mandatory wearing, and also have to do in relation to the COVID-19 malady, however you want to classify it. So the first thing I want to get into is people have been asking me, how can they pass these laws that infringe upon our rights, that we're forced to wear face masks? Well, what I have found, there is a commonality in all of these jurisdictions that there is either some primary legislation being passed or what's known as secondary legislation, which is empowers a minister under an act to make a regulation. For instance, in this case, we're talking about face masks. Prior to this, there was regulations in relation to people being forced to stay at home and locked in. This has become a huge contentious issue, and people have said to me, how can they do this? So I am showing people in each bundle the legislation, but I am also saying that there are things that you can do to say, I object to this. And at the end of the module, I will prepare a document which people can send to their health minister or someone saying that the reasons why they object. And the basis, what I see has been forgotten in all of this is when they've made these rules, regulations, orders, whether it comes from a governor, a health minister, or every other thing, they have not taken into account one of the most basic tenets in medical ethics, which is known as informed consent. The right of integrity of the person to be properly informed as to why this is being done against them when many people say, well, I don't have the coronavirus, I've never been sick or anything, and I don't know anyone who has had it. And it seems that if I don't wear a face mask, I'm being victimized or discriminated against. Well, discrimination is one of the things that's very much to the fore in this. And there's also the fear factor. And these are all things that are dealt with in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which has been adopted by all of those countries and jurisdictions that I've mentioned. I have it here. I'm just showing it. I'm going to touch on some of the articles in this, which are important. And also, the other thing I'm going to touch on is that it's also within, for people in Europe, Ireland and the UK, the European Convention on Human Rights, which has been adopted into UK law and also into Irish law. So there is another thing for European viewers to that can be kept in mind is, especially in Ireland, we adopted in Ireland, where I am presently living, we adopted by the Lisbon Treaty the European Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, and I have a little paper on it here, right of integrity, which also in Article 3, which deals with informed consent issues and issues of refusal. Now, before I move on to explain about informed consent, what I want to say is that what's happening, people have been saying to me is, oh, if I go to the shop or if I want to go on a public transport and there's somebody there that confronts me, I feel as if I'm being judged by them. Well, I think these people are actually acting in a judicial capacity. And I don't think they really have a right to do this. Even that what the legislation says, they're being a judge in their own cause because they don't know whether you have an infection, you don't have an infection, whether you are suffering from an illness or otherwise. So it's wrong of them or anyone to victimize you, because that is the blatant form of discrimination and you not getting due process of law. There should be another mechanism where people can have their rights vindicated without being confronted in the public in embarrassment and put in fear. Now, the basic tenet of what I'm getting at, which has been totally, I believe, forgotten in the passage of all these legislations, is people have what's known as a right of informed consent. But people also have what's known as a right of informed refusal. Now, I'll just read out to you what the definition of informed consent is. And this would, because I say in a sense, these mandatory face mask laws that are being brought about, whether it's on local or national level, are being brought about by persons in health ministries or some sort of health executive position. And therefore, you can assume that you are being treated somewhat like a patient. That is, if you have something when you may not have it at all. And you're being forced to do this without being properly informed as to why this is being asked of you. What are the reasons? Has it been proven that this will be effective for you to be forced to do this? Now, the definition of informed consent is when a person, a patient, or in this instance, like any individual, could be considered to be in that situation. It's a consent to a procedure, and you must be informed. And a person or a patient only gives an informed consent only after the person who's trying to impose the condition upon them, be it a medical doctor or in this instance health officials, has fully explained what the proposed benefit of this, we'll call it for the moment a treatment. They're saying this is more or less a preventative treatment. I find it hard to understand how this can prevent anyone from not passing any type of an illness, just a face mask, over your mouth and your nose, because virus, particulates, other things can go into the eyes, or a receptor, an orifice, and the ears. It can be on the skin. So people have an aversion to this because they feel, oh, it's inhibiting my breathing. They're claustrophobic. and so on. So they should have the right to and be properly informed to give it consent, not to have it forced on them. And the next thing I'm going to get into is if they don't want to consent to that, because they're not properly informed, they can say then, I am exercising my right to tell you that I am making an informed refusal. Now, that means is where a person has refused a recommended procedure or treatment based on an understanding of the facts and implications of not following the procedure or the treatment. So informed refusal is linked to informed consent process, and we'll say, is in this instance, I'm being treated as if I have a disease, or I'm being victimized, I'm being discriminated against, because what the mask is saying is, yes, I could be a potential source. So this all comes into play in regards to a person's right to integrity. And I'm going to get into here, under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which will be common to all these things, is Article 1 here, and Article 2 and Article 3. And what we're talking about here is people, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. So this is a very important, the most important, I think, the dignity of the person, and speaking about their rights. And in Article 2 then, what I'm going to talk about is there should be no distinction made on the basis of the political jurisdiction or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, right? So what I'm saying is, because of this Universal Declaration, each and every one of us in the world, in our countries that have adopted it, and all these jurisdictions that I have spoken about have adopted this many years ago. So therefore, that gives you that right, because this is a policy that's being imposed upon you, a political action. And you do have a right to refuse against this, and you shouldn't be discriminated against because of your views. Article 3 then deals with your right to life. Some people feel that this is an infringement on their right to life. And now I'm going to get into Article 7 is where I was speaking about in terms of discrimination. And you have a right to be held equal before the law. But this face mask, mandatory face mask orders, doesn't make you equal, because there's some people that don't have to wear them in public, but you, as an ordinary person, are being asked to wear it. Or as a business, if you're a business owner, you're being asked to discriminate against the person who doesn't wear it on the basis of a political decision, on the basis of what is purported to be a medical ethics issue of treatment without consent. So when you go to a premises or a place of accommodation and you're refused services, you are being discriminated against because of policy issues and your political beliefs, and on a health issue. So the last thing I'll get at in this Universal Declaration is Article 12 here, which touches on your rights, arbitrary interference with your privacy, family, home life, and attacks on your honor or reputation. So the law has been very discriminatory in the sense that everyone has the right to protection of the law against such interference or attacks. And as we know, and we've all seen on videos, people have been attacked for not wearing face masks. Now, this will be common to each one of the jurisdictions, and I'm going to go through each country individually with the laws. And this is the end of the overview, and this tells you basically you have the right of informed consent, and you have the right of informed refusal, and you have the right to exercise that right to a minister or a health official or someone to say, I am not wearing the mask on the basis of A, B, and C. I will do out some sort of a template format letter to help people, and they can fill it in relation to who they want to send it to, the address, and whatever official they want to direct it to. And this is the end of video number 1 in this module series. Thank you.